Hello, friends, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Imperfect Recall. I am your host, Mike Eshelman.
And I'm your co-host, Tom Arnholt.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Mike.
So, normally people jumping into this time slot are expecting, it's those two fuckers from Bum's Corner Coast to Coast that are going to make fun of people that fuck their lives up.
And Tom's going to get all drunk and surly, and it'll be a train wreck.
Yeah, but not this time, friends. This is
not the drunk and surly part.
This is sort of a side project that, as I think, and again, this is from my standpoint, as we did the previous 21 fucking episodes of Coast to Coast, we never really had an opportunity to get that introspective. You know, we were shitting on all these other people's lives, and I don't know, at least from my side of the country, I kept thinking, maybe we should take an opportunity to actually look at ourselves. And for those of you that have actually listened to the interview portions of that show, Jesus Christ, we did not do justice at all to the people that we had into the booth at all. So,
but again, I mean, in our defense, the Bum's Corner podcast is geared and targeted towards people that already kind of know us, and so really those interview portions were, sort of not an inside joke, but geared towards someone who has inside knowledge already of who we're talking to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And the same thing kind of goes with this. I mean, I don't expect this to top at ranker. Because again, just like the Bum's Corner thing, this is geared more towards a sort of, for lack of a better word, an internal audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what Tom and I talked about a few months ago was how we perceived people and how people perceived us in high school versus what was real. So the perception versus reality discussion. The older you get, the more you realize that your experience in high school is not unique. Everybody suffers through the same things. And that's an important message for kids. Not that kids listen to the show, for Christ's sake, but I think it's important for people to hear, like, as fucked up as things were, everybody else went through that too. So I thought maybe this would be a good opportunity to flesh some of that out, to get some of our friends in front of a microphone and us say, this is how I perceived you. You tell me what your truth was.
Yeah, because I mean, we all, and it's weird, even amongst our own inner circle, I think we had some disconnect as far as perception versus reality. I think because we all sort of played the role we sort of chose and were comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, we're best friends, but you always kind of put that face on, even amongst friends and family.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And when we decided to move forward with this concept, I started thinking back to that era. And I think a lot of my persona that I presented to the world outside of our little group of friends was a complete defense mechanism.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, totally.
Just to protect yourself.
Yeah. You and I talked about this briefly before, and I think you're 100% correct. And it wasn't really until you and I talked about it that I kind of, realized that was the truth. It's like, I was not at all. I don't think, what I was perceived to be, but I don't know what I was perceived to be. Was that persona that you were trying to project accurately received by the person you're projecting it to?
That I love. And again, everybody that I've talked to about this concept, they said, yes, have your friends on and discuss things that happen and get their point of view. But I think where the meat of this is going to be is to catch people that were on the periphery of our group of friends, talk to people that weren't there when we took the masks off and go, wow, look at me, blah, 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 blah. I'm an idiot.
I mean, amongst the inner sanctum, as it were, I mean, there's a select few of us that we know that we were comfortable taking the mask off of, in front of.
Right.
And so, yeah, not they don't count, but in this arena, they don't count.
Right.
Like
Absolutely.
you and I think you and I were pretty much just naked and bold, just in front of each other. Like, yeah, this is it.
And
For the
okay,
most
so
part. For the most part, I think.
since we don't have a third person to interview, it took me a while to get to know Tom. Because first I was drawn by that persona. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy's got it going on. And then as we became friends, I think we were both more willing to open the kimono a little and say,
Yeah.
here's what, like the first time I went to your house where it was just you, me, and Tony, and I saw your family dynamic. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Wow, he is an outstanding actor.
Brava.
Right?
Right. So, as we get deeper and deeper into this, what is it that you want to get out of this experiment into digging into the psychology of our youth?
I don't know. I think it's twofold for me. For as uncomfortable as it is, I think being able to hear how effective the shield was,
Oh, I like that.
and then more internal to kind of explore, why.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're sort of running parallel. I think that's what I wanted to get out of it too.
And again, I don't want it to be selfish with like just you and I. Gee, did I do a good job pretending to be
Of
who I
course you
was?
did, Tom. You were the bee's knees. You had
Right?
swagger.
I had swagger. Good, mission accomplished. But
I'll tell you
again,
what is shit that I want to dig into between you and I too, that I think will come out as we talk to other people. Because again, man, like we came up with this concept a couple months ago, and then being a nice pandemic and all, I was trapped in my house. I'm like, all right, let me dissect my interactions with Tom Arnholt when we were in our teens and 20s. And you had me scared shitless when we first started talking about this because I thought it'd be fun, like, yeah, let's get people on and find out like
no.
The prom queen was really like antisocial and things like that. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, we're going to rip off some Band-Aids. I'm like, but I like my Band-Aids.
But that's the thing. We've got to be able to yeah, it's scary. This is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is armor we've worn for 50 years.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think, and obviously as you get older, you're a lot more apathetic about what people think of you.
Yeah.
Like I don't give a shit anymore, but it took me decades to not see myself as that terrified 14-year-old as a freshman surrounded by all those kids that like were adults as far as I was concerned that had 5 o'clock shadows and bullied me. I mean, that was terrifying shit. So fuck yeah. I found a jester's hat. Like I'm going to wear this shit until I'm safe. And
yeah,
that safe zone was you and Casey and Banks. I felt not necessarily that you guys were the toughest people around by any means, but I felt secure when I was around you guys. Once like the Little Bums Corner group established itself, I'm like, these are my people. Now that I have a people, I feel that there's some place that I can feel safe.
Right. And let me ask you that. I think I may have brought this up earlier on the Bums Corner podcast. There was something about that group of people, and for me at least, there was an invincibility that I got from being around you guys.
Yes. I think we propped each other up a lot. And again, it was us against the world. Normally, when we got together, it was at 3:15 in the afternoon
Yeah.
after dealing with other people's shit all day,
Yeah.
and we'd get together. And I'm like, man, okay, I'm with these guys. All is
Right.
right with the world. And
Yeah.
plus,
Yeah.
there was a ton of humor in that group. I mean, they're all funny people.
I tell you
And
what,
it
you
was
guys are
just,
the funniest motherfuckers I've ever had the privilege to be around. I don't know how
you
we
know,
did it, Mike, but we attracted some some of the funniest people I've ever known.
shit, yes, I absolutely agree with you. But there was that, I wanted to make you guys laugh just because I loved the sound of it. So we would
Yeah.
always push the envelope, not only in the shit we said, but like, man, I wonder if this hijinks goes awry, if we'll have a good story out of it, kind of thing.
Yep. Right. A lot of it was, let's do this. If nothing else, it'll be a cool story.
Yes.
And what's scary, kind of scary, funny, scary, is my son is the same way.
No shit.
He's more not more concerned, but he is always out for, well, I'm going to go ahead and try this because if nothing else, it'll be a good story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that.
Damn,
Um, so
terrifying. It's like, yeah.
So thinking back, is there one particular person you think that you want to get into the booth and pick their brain about this?
Yeah, there's a few, I think.
Yeah, like who?
Um, well, you were talking about the periphery, and I think like Teresa Bruzidin.
Excellent choice. Yeah, that's good.
Um, see, Tort, that's a good one.
Yeah, see. I also, and again, I think I mentioned this to you last month, but I'd love to get Anne McGlissick in here
Mm, yes.
because correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you guys like grow up together in grade school?
Kind of, yeah. We went to the same, yeah, we went to St. Andrews together.
Yeah.
Um, and it's, again, had you known her, well, yeah, if you know Anne, it's still just gobsmacking that she's a teacher.
Actually,
But
it's gobsmacking that
it,
she's alive.
but really, in the same respect, it's actually not. It's so completely fitting because
Right?
I, I would love to be in her class. I would love to be one of her students because I can't even imagine how she
Oh,
does
yeah,
what she does. I
absolutely.
can't imagine that she's anything but an outstanding educator.
I ran into her like Labor Day weekend, and she is still an absolute human dynamo. And
Just a
that's what
tornado.
kind of thinking about it. I'm like, holy Christ. If we can strap her down and get a microphone in front of her, there's 60 minutes of quality fucking show right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Just ask her, like, hey, Anne, about you in high school, and then back away and just wait for the batteries to die.
Oh, I think Anne is one of those that's kind of like how Rachel was for the most part. She sort of transcended cliques.
Yeah.
You couldn't quite nail Anne, well, because she was a moving target. You couldn't nail down, Anne down to a certain group. She was just Anne. It was just McGlissick. She just was this force of nature. Rachel
Right. Yeah.
kind of the same way. She was involved in
And that's
so
why
many
I
different
want to
things.
see, like, okay, this is how I perceived you when we were 16, 17, 18. What was going on in your head when all this was going on?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then just sit back and watch.
was both of this? We're both in both these cases with Anne and Rachel. Was it just keep moving so you don't get hit,
Right.
or was there something else, or was no? I have ADD and I just can't focus on anything long enough, so I flitted about.
Right.
I'll respect both answers.
Thinking back to like our group of friends and like you said, that periphery of people that we hung out with, do you think there's somebody that you 100% like got? Like you saw right through their mask. I'm like, I know who the fuck you are, be it we are friends or not.
Oh man, now see, I got to think about this. George,
That's fair.
Al,
Yeah.
but in both those cases, and you know what? Let's have them on, or I'll ask them later. Um, I never perceived them to have a facade. What you saw was what you got with both those guys, I think.
You know what? For the most part, you're right. I think you're right. But again, I'd love to hear their side of it. That what we perceived as our friends George and Al was that really who they were, or were they somebody else at the time?
Yeah.
And the flip side of that coin is there somebody who you think that your perception of that person as a teenager is 100% incorrect, and you got it completely wrong.
Yeah, probably everybody outside of our sort of, like I call the inner sanctum, outside that,
Right.
with the 5 or 6 of us. It was all just a mystery. And it's one of those things too. Like, for me personally, because I was projecting that shield, I tended to kind of respect the shield projected by other people. It's like, if this is what you want to do, if this is what you want, if this is the person you want me to interact with, then I will accept that. However, like with you and I think we both sort of respected the projections that we first met.
Yes.
And over time, we're able to peel away that onion and go, okay, now we're in a safe place.
It's funny, like as you and I got closer and closer, and again, freshman and sophomore year, I think we knew each other. We were kind of friends, but it was like the later years that we actually like completely meshed.
Yeah.
There were times, and I can remember some specifically, like we're just Mike and Tom. We're hanging out. One of them in particular, we were in my room when I lived in my parents' basement, and we were drinking gin and pickle juice that we stole from my dad's bar.
Yeah.
And I think we were already graduated. So like the class of 89 was about to let out. You're like, let's go to Bums and see who still hangs out. And there was literally this transformation when we pulled up. Like we were Mike and Tom in the car. Then all of a sudden we were Esh and Arnholt. Like, okay, it's showtime.
Right.
And like those fake personas just popped out of nowhere. And we were two completely different people when we got out of the car.
Well, and the weird thing is, like with Bums, I mean, this is going to be interesting because I think there was an element of, because I remember that vividly. It was almost like being on Carson, where the curtain opens and you'll walk out and you're on.
Yep.
For your fans, and it was because these were the next generation Bums. And I think in our heads, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I think in our heads it was like, this is the next gen. We got to be on.
Right. Yep. That was exactly it.
Because
we were on stage.
Yeah. We have to be who they think we are.
Yep. Absolutely. And just moments like that where we're fucking around and just being dummies. I'm like, oh shit, here comes somebody. Put the mask on.
Yeah.
The other night I remember was we were down in Xavier visiting the girls.
Yeah.
And again, we were just being total doofuses, being ourselves. And then we got to some party in somebody's dorm room, and you put a safety pin in your piercing hole, and you spoke with a British accent all night.
Oh, that was Miami. That was with Casey.
Oh, was it Miami? Okay.
Yeah.
All night I'm watching you. I'm like, kind of rooting for you to fuck it up at some point. I'm like, I hope he breaks.
Yeah.
Just because I want to watch the aftermath. But you didn't. You fucking held that goddamn accent all night.
Like the drunker I got. I remember that. I remember that.
Yep. You were just in this beanbag, like fucking just holding court with all these people. You're like, oh yeah, biscuits, blah blah blah. Tea is awesome, blah blah blah. And all I could do was just roll my eyes. I'm like, God damn. Hey, I respect the game and the player because this is complete bullshit. But again, like part of me is like, come on, fucker, bomb. I
Right.
want to see this come off the hinges.
And then I think about that. I'm like, my God, what a douchebag. What? Why not just like walk into a party and go, "Hey, I'm Tom."
uh,
Why is that so hard?
because we were both uncomfortable in our own skins at the time.
Yeah, there's that. But it's like
No, but
it still dumbfounds me that like I would do shit like that.
I mean, and again, it was a defense mechanism. Like, plus we had been drinking like from Columbus all the way down there to Preble County.
Where pigs are pretty.
Pigs are pretty in Preble County. Um, so yeah, we had that going for us that we were half in the bag when we rolled into town, and that fucking rusted 1976 van that I took everywhere with us.
Fuck bed.
Fuck bed. And speaking of which, that's that's somebody I definitely want to get in here is Rockwell. It
Oh
just
yeah.
because um not to talk out of turn, but like when I was talking to Rachel about this,
Yeah.
she mentioned that when Dan, she and I went out to dinner, she's like, I left there kind of upset because Dan is somebody I absolutely love, one of my best friends. He was under the impression that I was friends with everybody. And she's like, that's absolutely not the truth. But that's the perception. Like if Dan
Right.
always says to me, he's like, oh yeah, you were like this chameleon, man. You could slide from group to group and hang out. Like, no, dude, that was a defense mechanism, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, just like as a chameleon.
Wow.
But I think in context, speaking for Dan, is I don't think he quite realizes how difficult it is to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to get, I don't want to pick his brain because it's a fucking terrifying place to even step foot in, but
Yeah.
I'd love to hear his impressions of what it was like to be 17 and 18 and us.
Yeah. And I
And
think even
I'll pack a snack this time because that motherfucker can talk.
right. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Dan has got some very interesting insights. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Dan typifies, I think, with the Rachel story that you just mentioned. Even again, within our own group, even like the inner layers, there's misperception of
Mm-hmm.
the ease at which one person can go from group to group or flit about and just sort of navigate life in high school. Yeah, just I think it's an interesting that'll be an interesting one because I think Dan's very insightful. It would be interesting to kind of get his take on things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, since we don't have a third person to tear apart in here, I guess the point of episode one was to sort of lay the groundwork for what we want to do.
Yeah,
This won't be monthly. And again, Tom, you and I sort of have this pact that we're not going to take on more projects because then it turns into a chore. So we'll keep doing Bums Corner coast to coast every once in a while, but whenever we can book an interview, we'll use that month's time slot for the Imperfect Recall to look at those formative years, really,
yeah,
and discuss how people saw us, how we saw other people. And again, I'd love to hear from all the different points of view that from the people that we went to school with. What the fuck were Mike and Tom like from your eyes
yeah.
as we tell them, yeah, I saw you as a fucking ditzy cheerleader and there was no depth to you as a person, but go ahead and tell me how deep you were.
Right. The same thing. It's obviously, from what I'm hearing, I had it all together. Did you see that as well? Because if not, I deserve an Oscar. Um, and that's the thing. I think we all do. So I guess the call out is to anybody who wants to kind of come out and come on and talk about who they were.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think if I would rather hear from the people that reach out to us as opposed to us tracking people down.
Right. I don't think that's gonna. Yeah. It's harder to be genuine. You know. Yeah. When the phone rings or the doorbell rings, you're like, oh god,
Right.
who the fuck is that? But yeah. If you're up for it and you want to share, bring it.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to
And
us,
believe me, and
and we'd love
honestly,
that.
seriously, if anybody's worried about like hurting our feelings, just don't worry about that. We
Yeah,
know. I think we both, as you and I both know, we were sufficient douchebags to enough people, and yeah, we were assholes
oh yeah,
at a
absolutely.
lot of points in time, and
Yep.
you know,
So welcome to our apology tour.
eh, sorry, not sorry.
You deserved it, asshole.
At the time,
Right? In 1978, you stole my lunch, motherfucker. Ergo, a decade of pain.
right? I
Yeah.
will never forget.
Hashtag
Milk,
never forget.
Milk Money 78.
Yes. So that's
No.
our goal. Hopefully, we'll all
Yeah.
still be friends when it's all over. But again, I love the concept of looking back as a 50-plus-year-old to those years that really defined us, or at least set the groundwork for who we were going to be in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I've changed a lot since I was that age, but it gave me something to build on. It's like I don't want to be that scrawny 14-year-old greasy little fucker. But Jesus Christ, I was in my 30s before that finally shook off. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm pretty groovy, and fuck everybody else that doesn't think so.
Right.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. That's the person you projected at 18, at 17, at 15.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But
And so, do we
it'll
do?
be interesting.
Is another crazy aspect, and I'm not going to drag this out much longer. But is that something to discuss or think about? Is did we evolve into the shields that we projected?
Okay, so 2 years ago, we pondered if anybody we went to high school with was homeless.
Uh-huh.
Now, I think we need to get Peggy on this as our chief marketing person. Is anyone we went to high school with a professional therapist? So maybe we could have them ringside with our mouthpiece and water to
Yeah.
say, hey, dummies, here's what's really going on.
Yeah. You're all on this podcast pretending to be honest, but no, here's what you're really saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Peggy, if you happen to be listening, we need you to track down a professional therapist that went to high school either with or around us.
I'm sure there's only got to be at least a half a dozen shrinks that we graduate with, or around.
Yeah. Probably way more than homeless people.
I would say yes.
Okay, so I think we've covered all the bases of what we want to track down. And again, in the coming month or two, we'll try and line up some guests. In the meantime, you can always enjoy our other podcast, Bums Corner Coast to Coast, where we're not this serious and all we do is shit on people's life choices.
And I will apologize for that because I'm a horrible, horrible co-host.
No, I think we're fascinating people. And you were absolutely the best at digging up the worst of humanity.
Well, that part was okay. I'm great at research.
You are, man. You find some winners. I look back at all this. I can't listen to our show because all I find are the faults in it. But
Right.
I'll read our synopsises. I'm like, oh yeah, the kid that like kept calling 911 because he lost his hoodie and stupid shit like that. Like, it's a gift, Tom. I mean, you have a gift.
Well, I try.
So we'll catch you morons probably. 2 or 3 months, maybe give us a chance to
Give
flesh
or
this
take.
out a little bit and make fun of people to sort of cleanse the palate.
Maybe sooner if we get somebody that's chopping at the bit to sit down with us.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm all for it. And again, I'd love nothing better to pick people's brains and talk about how terrible our teenage years were.
Yeah, we were all there. We just didn't look like we do now.
Exactly. So I guess until next time, we will keep researching, keep tracking people down, and we will catch you at some point or another.
Right? Stay real.
Yeah. Ciao.
Ciao.